I think the other three things that I had here was writing,
Yeah, that's my first love.
audience, and commercialization.
Commercialization is an interesting one.
Yeah, we'll get into that, but I
Okay.
think the writing thing is key because I've learned just by doing this whole project that the ability to collect your thoughts
Yeah.
is what writing gives you, and it also does it for when you are there in the moment. Like as in, when you're writing, and most of the time I've got all these notes, right? But I'm not reading from them
No.
one by one. It's just all here in my head, and I've collected.
It's nice to have something tactile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I felt that writing has always been that medium for that. I feel like the audience thing is interesting because you had to build an audience to be doing what you're doing now.
Absolutely.
And the commercialization thing is you deciding to go do something on your own, because you could have easily gone and worked at any other place.
Definitely.
So I think that maybe we'll call it entrepreneurial in a way.
Well, I mean that I would agree with, because I only in the last probably 12 to 18 months really thought about it. But when I was 4 or 5, I would hustle my parents for I wanted more pocket money. They've always been very, you can have whatever you want if you work for it. And I looked at the pocket money that I was earning from doing chores and thought, okay, this is not enough to buy Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time debut album. So I set up a day spa in our spare room, and I would come in and give them a facial. But being 4, it was just me sort of tapping them on the face with a bar of soap. But
why day spa?
worked.
Why was that the thing?
I don't know. I've always been fascinated with beauty. I do not know where it comes from, but that was my thing. So that was job number 1. Job number 2, which I did not get paid for. It was self-published. I had a Watts Family newsletter for myself and my parents, and no pets at that stage, which then became a fashion magazine. I would cut out things from mum's discarded magazines and then put new outfits together. And then by high school, I made money for the canteen by coding people's MySpaces for them.
That's right. I remember either I read that or I'm pretty sure I read that on the Vogue interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my first sort of experience with tech. And then from there, I got a lot of shit for it, but I got into photography really early.
Okay, what were you shooting on back then?
I started when I was in primary school. I was shooting on film because my dad.
Okay.
I learned my first camera was a box Brownie. I learnt on film. Then when digital cameras came out, they just point and shoot. That really bored me. Then I got my first DSLR. I think I was 15.
Okay.
And then I would take that everywhere, parties, school excursions, everywhere.
Sounds a lot like Lauren.
Well, I just had in the back of my head, there is a way to monetize this. And I just loved posting photos on MySpace. And, but it worked because eventually all of my friends who had older siblings were like, if we sog your friend Gemma $50, can she take photos at my 18th birthday party or my 21st or whatever it would be? So it worked.
What was if you think about the peak of MySpace, what was your song?
Oh, I know this because it was the Psycho theme, because everyone had fun poppy songs, and I loved the idea of people going on my page and just this very jarring horror film score.
That's so fucking funny.
Yeah, which is also my favourite film. I don't know what that says about me.
Scream, did you say?
Psycho,
what I was going to say.
Scream is fine.
Yeah, Scream is like a comedy movie, isn't it?
No, it's not for me.
Okay, that's interesting. I just remember, who was that French singer, Yell? Remember when Yell?
Yeah, okay.
Yelle? That was peak. That was the peak of her powers. I remember Lauren had the best MySpace. Lauren's
cool.
Yeah, that was the thing that I really, I just realized she was a bit kooky in that regards. She like I said, her dad had a lot of old film cameras.
Yeah, that's sick.
A lot of old
Is it
Lakers
possible Lauren and I have the same dad?
Possibly. What's your dad's background?
He's from the UK.
Okay.
I've got a UK passport just sitting there. I really need to
Yeah,
use
so
it.
does she. Her mum's from the UK.
Oh, there you go.
But her dad's German. I'll have to show you there's this really cool map that we've got that they gave us recently that was her Opals. It's sort of like a big old USSR
yeah.
map. She's really into film, and I think it was the same thing. She sort of just really liked that archetype.
Yeah.
And her dad is a real character. Like I call him a rooster, and he'll be listening to this. He'll be actually probably watching it on YouTube down on the peninsula on his big TV. Hi, Charles. And he's a real character. He loves being a character.
Yeah,
but he's quite an
Watts.
introvert. Quite an introvert, rather.
My parents identify as introverts. But in the sense that neither of them are shy. Mum is
they're
a
not
bitch.
shy, but they don't like being out too long, right?
It's the way that you take in your energy. So for me, if I'm just in my own space for too long, then I feel down. But being around people, like I'm up at the moment because I'm talking.
Yeah.
Whereas they just got back from a month in Europe and they just needed a day to just sort of sit
and recuperate.
Yeah, because they were with all their friends. They were basically on schoolies.
Okay.
So they were like, we just need to sit.
Schoolies for 60-year-olds.
Yeah, but they go hard. They had people over last night. I heard those people leave at 2:00 this morning.
Jesus.
That's normal. That doesn't
Wow. See, Charles is the type that if it, unless of course they got people over, but if it hits like 10:30, 11, he's like calling over the waiter for the bill. He's like, all right, let's go.
Oh, see, they will call over the waiter for the bill and then say, come back to ours. Whereas I have no problems saying to people, hey, it's time for you to get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah, he's proper done by about 10:30, 11, which is hilarious because then he'll go and sleep on the couch, or even better, when we're trying to get to sleep at theirs, because we're actually going down this weekend. We could probably go down once a month to theirs. And he will blast Netflix on 60 or 70 watching some documentary of some kind, which is always fun for getting to sleep at 1 a.m.
Yeah, that's what you want. Bruce Watts loves a disco nap. Like, he will sit in a chair, fall asleep. Yeah, exactly like that, and then he will pop back up for a dance.
Does he sit cross-legged as well?
It varies.
Okay.
It varies.
I can picture your dad already. I've never seen him.
He looks like me, Tom Selleck.
Okay.
He's a handsome man, and I keep hearing things about him as a 20 and 30-year-old, and I'm like, I don't need to hear this.
Yeah, I'd say that I think it would be agreeable that, Charles is a bit of a handsome man too. That's why we call him the rooster.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's got the puffed out chest,
yeah.
pigeon chest, I think is what Lauren calls it. But on the writing part, I found it really interesting how you decided to go to TAFE to learn to write better.
Yeah.
And
Best decision ever.
I know, because it was here that you met this audience that said you need to be going out and doing shit. Do you think, what was the thing that made you think, all right, I really want to go to RMIT, I want to hone this craft?
So my godmother, who left my house at 2:00 this morning, she has worked for Channel 9 forever. So that was like my after school care. There would be a show and they'd be like, we need a kid, and they'd just sort of plonk me in there, like one of those machines with the claw. They'd just pick me up by the head and just drop me in. She had always said everyone that they hired for anything in media went to RMIT.
Okay.
I'm one of those sickos that knew what they wanted to do from like day one.
And why?
I popped out of the womb and I was like, I'm going to be in media.
Okay.
And they were like, okay, this is not normal.
Why was that? What was the archetype? Who was the person that you looked up to and you thought, that is me?
There was no specific person, but definitely being around television. I just loved that environment, and it just made sense because the things that I loved to do from, I started dancing at age 3. I loved to have an audience. I loved to write. So, that's a media career. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a getaway host. That's what I've written in our grade 6. Like, where will I be?
God, remember the days of like getaway and postcards being the pinnacle?
Yeah, I looked at Katrina Roundtree and thought,
Roundtree, wow.
She looks amazing. She's still doing it.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to do that, and Kate had said RMIT is the place to go for that. I figured out in high school that what I wanted to do was write.
Okay.
And I was really fucking good at it. I won like state writing awards, the whole thing. But I still loved an audience. Like primary school captain, junior school captain, middle school captain, vice school captain, pipped at the post, but that's fine. I'm not salty about it. So I looked at journalism. It was a 99.5 enter. I think the year that I was in year 12, I was very academic, but I was like, well, that's not going to happen.
What did you do in year 12? What were your topics? You would have done drama for sure, right?
No, I didn't.
Really?
I did.
Did you do the school play though?
Absolutely. I was the comedic sidekick. I was never the female lead. I was always the one that they'd wheel in. And in fact, I played a prostitute in a few of them. And then my speech, my school captain speech at the start of year 12, the other captains, who I'm still friends with them all, they were like, come on, guys, it's going to be a really good year. We're going to work hard. I got up and said, hey, guys, I've been cast as a prostitute in the last 3 school musicals. So if you think you've got it bad, look at me. So that was really motivational for them. I did. I wanted to do all 3 Englishes and they said, don't you dare. I did English. I did literature.
What was the third English?
English language.
Okay, they didn't offer that to us.
English language, there was a stigma when we were going into VCE that English language was, in inverted commas, the dumb English, but it wasn't. I ended up tutoring it when I finished school, and it's very like an analytical take.
Really?
Yeah. I wish I'd been able to do all 3.
Based?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I then went on to study. I wish I'd done it, but English, literature, media, studio art, French.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And a lot of those get marked down, unfortunately. Studio art.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them do.
French.
I did not care. I pushed back on doing maths in year 11 and they said, because I'd been like ducks of maths and science and they were like, you've got to do it. And I said, well, just because I'm good at it doesn't mean I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, if it were any other student, we'd be like, you have to do 1 unit of maths. But nah.
They let you go.
Yeah, I think everyone knew that I knew what I was doing. I'm like, just trust me on this. And my parents were very much in my corner. They're like, she's not going to do maths.
Well, you must have been quite persuasive. I mean, you must have had quite a conviction as to what you were going to do.
I think, I don't know. I think I've got a bit of sparkle. I think they were like, yeah, okay, she's fine.
Jazz hands. A few jazz hands and...
But I knew from those subjects, you're not going to get 99.5. It's not going to happen. But I also didn't know what kind of writer I wanted to be, and I just don't think you can learn that from being in a lecture theatre. So we went to one of the open days and one of those careers fairs. RMIT TAFE had a course that they still have. When I was there, it was a Cert 4 and a diploma. Now it's an associate degree. Yeah. Professional writing and editing. So it was a classroom not dissimilar to my year 12 class sizes. I did the big one that we had to take was editing, which I loved. I took a column writing. I took a fiction writing class. I took writing for radio. I just took every possible class. There was a photography elective, which naturally I blitzed because I was already doing it. So I just kind of honed my skills there, and I was the baby of everyone in the course. Most of them were mature age students who had come back as a skill refresher. And they all said, you know, a portfolio is more important in media than
anything.
Yeah, than anything. So
I think from there that was when, I mean, I was trying to piece it together. So there's
so many things happening at once. So if you've
the Caramel and Universal magazine, but
yeah.
I feel like it was the couturiering job, because the couture, you went from contributing fashion writer to assistant fashion writer to editor, assistant fashion editor to editor. But it was also that I think
the space of like a couple of months too.
I know, right?
And I was 18.
I was looking at the time and I'm like, fucking hell.
I was 19 when they promoted me to fashion editor.
But it was the L'Oreal thing.
Yeah, I got headhunted.
That was and I feel like for you that would have been, now in hindsight, not at the time, but in hindsight, amazing because, you know, as this has been for me personally, sometimes when you do a thing that's sort of deviated from your current area, it can actually open up to what you really, really, really enjoy.
100%. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So I started interning and just submitting articles for publication. That's where like Caramel and Universal came into play. Then, and I had a blog as well that I think is, I'm glad you didn't uncover it.
Gemma Watts.
No, it was The Girl in the Sea after a Presets song.
Okay.
I was very
Love
indie.
The Presets. Sounds like Lauren.
She's so cool. Yeah. So I got a job when they were in their infancy, and they were it in Melbourne. They were like the people to write for.
Yeah.
So I thought I was a sick bitch. I was 18, got promoted to, assistant fashion editor, then fashion editor in a matter of months. Then after a couple of years of that, I think L'Oreal headhunted me. So they had, their company structure is very confusing, but basically they had an advertorial platform.
Okay.
Advertorial
being... So it was ad-driven
It was
writing.
all written to look like a beauty magazine, but at the end it would say, get the look with the following L'Oreal products.
Yeah, so similar to broadsheet. A broadsheet is a very advertorial.
Yeah, broadsheet now, not broadsheet.
Back in the day.
Which is, it's a clever way to advertise. So they had, that platform was managed by Paris.
Okay.
So they had one journalist on the ground in Australia who she had seen my work for couturiering. She put me forward for this job, didn't mention it to me. So then I get an email from L'Oreal Paris in Paris being like, hey, can you submit a test piece for us? I think that was December 2013. Mm-hmm. And then I was writing for them by January. So I spent 2014, I think, as a beauty writer for them. So I did 3 beauty articles a day. Then 2015, the editor left and I got promoted to editor. So I was doing 6 articles a day and editing the other stuff. This was 2015. So I was doing that.
Okay.
I was still fashion editor at Couturiering and I was finishing journalism at RMIT. Because while all of that was happening, I finished my Cert 4 and diploma at RMIT TAFE. Then I got into journalism at RMIT, which had always been the plan. Because I was already working, I was exempt from about half of the subjects, so I only had to do journalism part-time. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was great. So
this goes to why you were saying to me that you probably didn't sleep in 2014.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't. So I was finishing journalism at RMIT. I was editing L'Oreal's website, but on Paris time, so I would come home in the evenings and do that. And then I was editing all of Couturiing's fashion content.